السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. كيف أمسيتم؟ أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله، لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. رب أسألك خير ما في هذه الليلة وخير ما بعدها. رب أعوذ بك من شر ما في هذه الليلة ومن شر ما بعدها. رب أعوذ بك من الكسل وسوء الكبر. رب أعوذ بك من عذاب في النار ومن عذاب في القبر. بسم الله الذي لا إله سواه، الواحد الأحد، الفرد الصمد، الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. والحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه حمدا أبدا سرمدا، حمدا يليق بجماله وجلاله وكماله في جماله وجلاله، حمدا يليق بجزيل وعظيم عطائه ونعمائه. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف أنبيائه سيدنا ومولانا محمد الصادق الأمين، الرسول المبين، المبعوث رحمة للعالمين، وعلى آله التقيين النقيين الطيبين الطاهرين، وأصحابه الغر الصالحين الميامين، والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اجعلنا منهم آمين. I have to say first that I am especially delighted in a special way to be here for these few moments with you in a community of mine where I have lived amongst you for a few years, and the memories of the young ones and not so young ones have been part of the treasures that enrich my life, part of the experiences which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted me to help me discover more of myself and discover more of my deen. May Allah bless you all, may Allah guard you all, those who were here when I was here and those who were not here when I was here and those who came later. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and guard you and protect you and grant you the noble happiness, the noblest of happiness and the noblest of freedom in this dunya and the ultimate ones in akhirah. My gratitude to Shaykh Imam Azhar Hafidhahullah and to all the rest of the community, Shaykh Sayyidi Arsalan and all those who are here, Shaykh Sayyidi Asil Habibi, and all of you. And I can cite these beautiful faces that are in front of me, Sayyid Manzoor, Sayyidi Masood, and this young fellow. And when I was here, he was still a little child without beard. And he looks so wonderful, mashallah, so wise. Children that used to be here every Fajr, this is one of them. Every Fajr. He was here after Salat al-Fajr, he begins his Quran every day for the 4 or 5 years that I was here, uninterruptedly. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them and guard them and bless this community and everyone in this community. So forgive me for not mentioning every name. As I see names, then I can. But if I start mentioning names, that's the lecture. So keep me in your prayers, please. I will too, inshallah ta'ala, to share with you some reflections from this different dimensions of our deen, which I hope are relevant in different aspects of our deen relevant to our lives nowadays as well. And I elected to start with the following, this one. Saying from Sayyidina al-Imam al-Sari al-Saqati, rahimahullah ta'ala, who is related to have said, as he was admonishing a young man, perhaps it could have been his nephew. And what was his nephew? Al-Imam al-Junayd. Could have been him, because he was the mentor of Imam al-Junayd, rahimahullah ta'ala. He says to him, "I'lam ya bunay," you must know, my son, أن الشوق والأنس يرفرفان حول القلب. You must know, my son, that longing and solace in the spiritual sense flip their wings around your heart. Beautiful metaphor. That الشوق إلى الله. There's a difference between حب and شوق. Which one is first? حب is first. When you have حب, then you develop شوق, a desire to connect with the beloved. When you have حب, then there is شوق, the longing to connect with the beloved. So he says to him, "Oh my son, you must know that great maqam, spiritual station of shawq ilallah Azza wa Jal, to have it, really to have it, not to know about it intellectually and etc. But to have it. Second, wal-uns. Al-uns min anasa ya'nasu. And uns is the condition inside of us also in which we find quietude and solace when we are with the beloved. And we seek uns inside of us. He says, you must know that those two maqamat of shawq and uns are like two birds, two spiritual paradise birds, which flip their wings around your heart, indicating they want to enter your heart, to be part of you, to earn shawq and uns. Shawqun ilallah wa unsun billah. To have that internal longing for Allah Azza wa Jal. And to have internal solace when you are alone with Allah Azza wa Jal. When everyone is stressed, when everyone is restless, when you have Allah in you, you have uns with Allah. That presence of the divine in your qalb gives you uns, solace. That companionship that we desire, when we are in that companionship, we feel serene, we feel steadfast, we feel secure, we feel free. Uns. He says, فإذا وجد هنالك الهيبة والإجلال حلا وإلا رحلا. End of quote. So those shawq and uns, those two spiritual birds of paradise, flipping their wings around your heart. Desire, it's a gift to land in your qalb, to have them. If they find in your heart al-haybata wal-ijlal, if they find in your heart veneration, awe, reverence for Allah. Not only hubb. Some of us claim to have hubb love for Allah Azza wa Jal, and those who claim to have hubb love for Allah Azza wa Jal oftentimes or sometimes, because that hubb love is not very true, they lose their sense of veneration and reverence and awe for God. Like when we have a friend and we are very casual with a friend and we lose that special respect for the friend and becomes like a toy fellow. Because shawq is born out of hubb love, as we said. Hubb love is there, we seek shawq now. Shawq and uns will not land in my heart if I don't have, in addition to hubb love, if I don't have hayba and ijlal, reverence and veneration and awe for Allah Azza wa Jal. Hayba. Because Allah is both Jamal and Jalal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has names and attributes of beauty and names and attributes of Jalal, of majesty. He is Qahar, He is Jabbar, He is Aziz, He is Muntaqim, He is Adl. These are names of Jalal. And the names of Jalal and the attributes of Jalal, of the divine, lead the qalb who knows Allah Azza wa Jal to be in awe and in reverence and in veneration and in respect and in adab. And the names and attributes of Jamal, like Al-Halim, Al-Ghafoor, Al-Rahim, Al-Kareem, Al-Mu'ti, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Basit. These are names of Jamal, and they lead the heart to love, to have hubb love for Allah, to be easy. But Allah is not only Jamal, Allah is Jalal also. And Jalal oftentimes is what leads most and is instrumental in most for obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because Jalal also inspires inside of us, nay, imposes inside of us fear from Allah Azza wa Jal. Whereas other attributes inspire in us hubb love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who know Allah Azza wa Jal, those who have learned from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, know that we must have in our relationship ijlal for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of the rewards of having ijlal and hayba in our qulub for Allah Azza wa Jal is that Allah allows in my heart shawq and uns, which we need so much in this world, in this chaotic, rebellious, materialistic, hedonistic world, a world that is in turmoil in every aspect, world of consumerism, world of haste, world of self, and human beings are filled because of that, filled with anxieties, with depressions, with deep states of implosion. And we need that uns inside of our qulub. We need, when we have difficulties and challenges, when we are alone, we need to have that relief inside of us. No matter what the problems of the world are upon me, I am inside at peace. That's because if I have uns billah, So he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, Ya bunay, take this advice from me. Shawq and uns, you will not have them if you do not develop ijlal and hayba ma'al mahabba lillahi azza wa jal. Another word of wisdom, another admonition. And this is by another sage of our Islamic scholarly and spiritual history, who said, simple, very simple, but very powerful. شيئان إذا عملت بهما أصبت خيري الدنيا والآخرة. Two things, two virtues. If you act upon both of them, you will indeed acquire, both the good of this world and of the hereafter. What are they? Very direct, very simple, very pragmatic, very practical. Which is, قال قيل ما وما هما قال تحمل ما تكره إذا أحبه الله. See? All-inclusive theorem. تحمل ما تكره إذا أحبه الله. ثانيا تترك ما تحب إذا كرهه الله. Is that simple? That's simple and that powerful. So he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, the two matters are, the two virtues are tahammul, that you bear patiently and perseverantly. You bear carrying the load of what you despise, what you don't like, what your nafs, what my nafs does not like. What my nafs does not like. You bear that, you go through that, you take that, you do that, if Allah has hubb, love for it. But you don't like it by your nature, by my nafs, by my habits, by my customs, by what I'm used to, etc., by my current condition. I don't like it. My mind doesn't like it. My emotions don't like it. But you know that Allah loves it. You know that Allah, in the Shara', through the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, properly understood by our Islamic scholarship, that Allah has hubb, love for that. So once I know that, if I am that special person, then khalas, I make an oath, I pledge allegiance to Allah Azza wa Jal to give up. Or to, in this case, to do what I don't like to do. And that happens to us all the time, isn't it? About food, about drinking, about relationships, about social behavior, about economic behavior, financial behavior, political behavior, choices, administrative issues. Life, in life, we make choices. Things you like, things you don't like. But everything in life, we like or we don't like, the Shara has a say in it. The divine law has a verdict about it. Halal, makruh, mustahab, haram, wajib. One of those. If it is haram, I must keep away from it. If it is wajib, I must do it. If it is makruh, it is better not to do it. If it is mustahab, it is better to do it. If it is mubah, Whether I do it or I don't, from the Shari point of view, it is the same, in general. It's that simple in my life. But oftentimes what we don't do in our lives is events that happen to us. We're not so well disciplined sometimes in the Shari sense, and in the spiritual sense, and in the moral sense. So we don't care to investigate our choices and our decisions, to investigate whether they comply with the Shara or they don't. And when we don't, we might do that which Allah doesn't love, and we will be held to account in this dunya and in akhirah. So our ulama teach us through Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, if we really want the good of this world and of the hereafter, do what I don't like to do if Allah likes it to be done. And I don't do what I like to do if Allah doesn't like it to be done. That simple. At home, at work, at school, in my job, outside, when I play, under all circumstances. And that's the pursuit of happiness in this dunya and in akhirah. And that's why they say, rahimahullah ta'ala, al-mahabbatu, hub, love, muwafaqatu al-habibi fi al-mashhadi wal-maghib. موافقة الحبيب في المشهد والمغيب. Simple. Mahabba, hub, love is not simply a statement we make. It's not a claim we make. Many of us claim, men and women claim, we love X and we love Y and we love Z and we love this and we love God and we love His Nabi and we love the goodness and we love virtue and we love peace and we love kindness. And most of the time it's just words. Claims. Everyone may claim what they want to claim. Evidence is needed when claims are made. And of the evidence that is needed in the claim of hub, love, is muwafaqatu al-habib fi al-mashhad wal-maghib. That is, to comply with what the beloved loves. To be in congruence, to be in harmony, to be in approval with, to be in agreement with, to be in line with, to be parallel to the beloved. In mashhad and in maghib, in the open and in privacy and inside of me. And Allah Azza wa Jal is not in any space or time. He's the creator of space and time, so He owns space of time and time. So wherever I am, whenever I am, alone or in public, inside of me or things outside of me, if I have hub, love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I have hub, love for Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, I should pragmatically, practically, actually comply with Him, Allah, or Him, Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Many of us, we don't pay attention to this, and many of us fail this. Because partly, of course, nowadays the way we're educated, faith and morality and spirituality and akhirah do not play a fundamental role anymore as they used to be. We spend little time, for most of us, caring about these that are most essential for our lives in this world, noble life in this world, the forever life in the hereafter. But we have to stop doing that. That's why hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hadith Qudsi, which many of you know, and when we ponder it, we can see in it a very powerful, beautiful meaning in the lines of what I have been mentioning here. That is, hubbullah for Allah Azza wa Jalla requires veneration and reverence and obedience and submission and surrender internally and externally because of the jalal of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Allah is not only Jamal. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that Allah said in Hadith Qudsi, celebrating some special ibad of His, Yawm al-Qiyamah, أين المتحابون في جلالي أين المتحابون بجلالي أين, what is أين? Where? المتحابون, what is المتحابون? Those who mutually love one another, have hubb love for one another. بجلالي, or fi jalali, bi-jalali, be with or in my majesty, my jalal. So what does this mean? Al-mutahabbuna bi-jalali. From what I told you, you can already begin to link it. Jamal is connected in this hadith to jalal. First of all, you can see that. Those who have hubb love for one another as believers, their hubb love for one another is because of whose hubb love? Allah. Their hubb love because of Allah is in the jalal of Allah Azza wa Jal. Which means that hubb, which is born usually of appreciation and realization of beauty of Jamal, is enveloped in Jalal. These people are very special. They have hubb within the envelope of my Jalal. And he's saying, in this hadith, he's saying, again, just to reflect, أين المتحابون بجلالي. What do you think this conveys when it says, where are they? It's like what? It's like they are rare. Where are they? Where are these precious beings? He's not saying that the others are not good, but this is now a special status. أين المتحابون بجلالي. It's conveying, it's indicating that they are rare, they are precious. Where are they? Those when given by Allah Azza wa Jal, when given a special relationship even with Allah Azza wa Jal in the beautiful sense, they never forget in that relationship their hayba and ijlal for Allah Azza wa Jal. It's not like I love God, so God, it's okay, I do what I do. I love God, and what comes is to love. And He loves me. And I love Him. And that's what counts. First of all, let's not love at all. That's self-love. That's self-love. Because I love what satisfies my nafs only. Number two, it is not hubb love enveloped in ijlal, enveloped in hayba and veneration and awe and reverence and respect and fear and obedience. أين المتحابون بجلالي اليوم وظلهم يوم لا ظل إلا ظلي. That's why they have this special status. Today I shall enter them under my shade. on this day when no shade exists except mine, on the day of judgment. Aina. Sayyiduna Abu al-Darda radiyallahu ta'ala anhu ardah, the companion of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, is related to have said, لولا ثلاث لا صلح الناس. Were it not for three, i.e. three characteristics, three sifat, three vices, if it were not for those three, mankind, people, or maybe he was addressing specifically the Muslim communities also, were it not for those three vices, people would have been right, would have been rectified, would have been upright, would have been fine man, fine women, fine human beings. But they're not because of three vices, three characters, which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned in some other hadith, which says here, shuhun muta', shuhun muta'. Number one, shuh is the sort of greed that we harbor inside. The state, the greedy state of internal miserliness and greed and self-centeredness inside of us. Shuh. It's inside, it's a character inside. One has that character of keeping, hoarding, not sharing, and selfish, self-centered. Many of us have that. But the problem is not only to have them. The problem is to do what? To obey my shuh. Because sometimes, as human beings who are not malaika, who are not angels, we do develop sometimes, even transiently, some feelings of shuh. May Allah forgive us. But what happens? One fights that, one restricts that, one withholds that, one chains that inside of him or her and does not externalize it, and one obeys it. So he said, shuhun muta'. When we obey our internal greedy drives, whether for matters of materialistic things or matters of emotions or of attitudes or of comportment or behavior. There is shuh in behavior, in conduct, not only in wealth and giving and not giving. Shuh muta'. Secondly, hawan muttaba'. Hawa, you all know hawa, you've heard this, you must have heard it, and we talked about it hundreds of times. Hawa, this, the arch enemy of the human being from within us, the hawa of the nafs, that is our ideological, personal, subjectives, inclinations, philosophical, ideological opinions. Shahwa is about food and drink and physical passions and physical attractions. Hawa is about intellectual things, opinions, ideas, philosophies, views. Hawa. Hawa is hawa when it is antithetical to shara. أَفَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ بِغَيْرِ هُدًى مِّنَ اللَّهِ. So al-hawa is the opposite of huda min Allah. Any one of us, and we all have opinions, we go to school to develop opinions, don't we? And some become more sophisticated in developing opinions and views and ideas, the more we go to school and the more we learn and the more we practice. But oftentimes, many of those of us, they do that without the reference frame of the Shara, without huda min Allah. And we all have those internal inclinations, you know, especially nowadays in this world. Everybody is encouraged to, what's your opinion? Even when we're not asking what's your opinion. And you know, I have an opinion. I didn't ask you for your opinion. Well, I have an opinion. And we love to express our opinions. We've taught that freedom is to opine. Khalas. As though being opinionated is absolutely good under all circumstances. There are some people who have opinions and they think and they ponder, but the result of their thinking and pondering is worse than that of the devil. إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ. Isn't it? Allah says about him, about that guy, إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ فَقُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ ثُمَّ قُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ ثُمَّ نَظَرَ ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَصَرَ. And then what's the result? فَقَالَ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرُ. Read that ayah if you never read it from this perspective. About a person, Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira, one of the arch enemies of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, like the Abu Jahls and the Abu Lahabs, etc. And Allah tells us he thought, he pondered, he reflected, he opinionated, and then gave his opinion at the end. This is what the Quran is. Hawa is more dangerous than shahwa. Because shahwa is about physical drives. And faults that are born out of physical drives are less serious. They're all wrong, it's sin. But they are less of a dark sin than the sins born out of hawa. Hawa is ideological. Hawa changes an idea, a way of thinking. Hawa will generate under its theme many dhunub, many decisions based on hawa. But passion, shahwa, is shahwa for something. And then one falls into that sin wal-iyad billah of something. It does not disperse, it does not scatter into many other people or into many other functions. That's why the dhanb of shaitan is worse than the dhanb of Sayyidina Adam. As the ulama say, the dhanb of Sayyidina Adam is a dhanb of passion, of shahwa. But the dhanb of shaitan is a dhanb of hawa. He opines, this is my thing, kada. We think, yes, Allah gave us uqul to think with. But we think, we use our uqul in a context of Allah's creation. We're not gods. Astaghfirullah. We use our uqul in the context of creation. And creation has imposed limits in physical world and in the intellectual realm. And those imposed limits are imposed by the Divine Subhanahu wa Ta'ala so that we don't use our minds like Shaitan used his mind. Despite the command of the Divine, despite the instructions of the Divine, despite the explicitness of the meaning of the text of the Divine. Because he was there. There is no room for interpretation. God was there and he told him, Usjud. And he said, oh God, he knows God is God. But he says, how could I lay myself prostrate to someone you created from clay? So he's reasoning, and you created me from fire. See? Fire is greater than clay. Fire does not lay prostrate to clay. How could I? You created me, Allah. See? Which means there are people who will talk in the name of Allah also to delude and to deceive and to obey their personal subjective drives, intellectually, etc. Hawa muttaba. The point is, my dear brothers, hafizakumullah, and sisters, that to have hawa is also sometimes part of the trial of being human beings, of being a human being, because we have aql, and we have emotions, and we analyze, we see, we think, we draw conclusions. And we might sometimes develop a certain idea, certain view, certain opinion, certain, therefore, internal feeling and emotion that is not sanctioned by the divine. And if we don't care, that's exactly what hawa is. That's exactly what hawa is. When we don't care, it's rather hawa muttaba. As hawa muttaba. When we follow hawa. There are those who might have hawa, but they say, Ya Rabbi khfirli, Ya Rabbi samihni, and they go alone and they don't want to do anything that will make them externalize that hawa, that will lead to hurting others, to hurting the community, to hurting their families, and to hurt themselves with Allah Azza wa Jal. To be a disciple of shaitan in this sense. Hawan muttaba. And thirdly, connected all to the same theme, وَإِعْجَابُ الْمَرْءِ بِنَفْسِهِ. The third element without which mankind would be upright, and Muslims would be really upright, is إِعْجَابُ الْمَرْءِ بِنَفْسِهِ. Self-admiration. It's a good word, self-admiration. إِعْجَابُ الْمَرْءِ بِنَفْسِهِ. I'm impressed by myself. I'm impressed by me. In this world, people are making millions of dollars by practicing i'jab bin nafs. We have jobs that express i'jab bin nafs, and to sell myself to the highest bidder. Huh? In being an actor, in being a singer, in being one who salesperson, in being sometimes an athlete, and also being an intellectual. Even many of us, intellectual men and women, are so impressed with our own selves. And once we're impressed with our own selves, what will happen? There is no room for amelioration. All space is open for vanity and arrogance and delusion and conflicts with others. Because you don't find just one who is mu'jabun bi nafsih. You develop an entire society where the norm becomes celebration, self-admiration. Ijab al-mar'i bi nafsi. Whereas our deen teaches us to be a prosecutor of my nafs, not a defense lawyer for my nafs. Inna an-nafsa la'ammaratun bis-su' illa ma rahima rabbi. There are exceptions. May we be of those. And many of us, our own problems even at home, when we have problems, family problems, job problems, masjid problems, community problems, most of the time, those are born out of إعجاب المرء برأيه. وإعجاب المرء برأيه is born out of إعجاب المرء بنفسه, born out of personal self-admiration of my views, my opinions, which is born out of self-admiration of my own self, my own nafs, my own characteristics. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to discipline this nafs. And He put in the nafs also the drives and the energies and the momenta needed to go astray. That's the ibtila. That's the secret of having choice and freedom to choose. Allah created us within us with propensities and inclinations towards evil and propensities and inclinations towards good. And we are to make a choice. And we are free to make those choices. If there are no choices, there is no freedom to choose. But Allah made choices everywhere. That's why He tells us do this and don't do that, because there are choices. And He said, you make your own choice. وَلَا تَلُومَنَّ إِلَّا نَفْسَكَ. You have that freedom of choice. And then when we choose many times that which indulges my nafs, that which surrenders to my nafs, that which satisfies my nafs, despite Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sanctioning something or against it. إعجاب المرء بنفسه. These are destructive characteristics in the expression of life in societies, in communities, in families, in individuals, etc. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from these vices of shuh and hawa and al-i'jabu bin nafs. So we should implore Allah. Part of our wird of dua should be daily, regularly, daily. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min shuhin muta'a ومن هوى متبع ومن دنيا مؤثرة ومن إعجابي بنفسي ومن إعجابي برأيي. Make sure I remind myself of that every day, that I am a prey, P-R-E-Y, to these vices. I can be at any time hunted by any of these vices, and I become a predator with that character, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, of shuh, or of hawa, or of ijab bin nafs. Ask Allah, my dear brothers and sisters, to protect us from that. Because the problems born in life at all levels, individual and collective and governments, etc., why do the world is in so much chaos and trouble, wars, etc.? The problem is the individual. Individuals are reared, are raised, are educated, are brought up ignoring these values. Not only ignoring these values, promoting even the values of shuh, of greed, the values of hawa in the name of freedom of expression, and the values of i'jabul mar'i bi nafsi in the name of high self-esteem, etc. And then we develop leaders and kings and presidents and representatives, etc., who could be really spiritually, morally sick, and even rationally. One more. I have time or? هذا عن سيدنا عبد الله بن العباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما, who is related to have said, ليأتين على الناس زمان يكون هم أحدهم فيه بطنه ودينه هواه End of quote. لَيَأْتِيَنَّ عَلَى النَّاسِ زَمَانٍ. He speaks of something that comes in the future. He must have heard it, or the like of it, or the meaning of it from Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, for a companion to make this affirmative, positive statement about the future. Because no companion claims to be a Nabi or to know the future. They speak of a matter of the future. That means they heard it from Rasulullah. That's why the ulama say that such a text له حكم المرفوع. There shall come, surely there shall come a time upon mankind, upon people, when the utmost concern, the paramount concern of theirs will be batna, consumption, I would say. I would translate it not only as stomach, but consumption. We'll live in a world of crazy consumption. همه بطنه. Why do we work? To eat and drink. By the way, you can add وَفَرْجُهُ nowadays. And his sexual drive. بطنه. We work so that we have money to eat more, to drink more, and to copulate more. And then we wait for the weekend to stop from work to do what? To go out, shopping, consuming, buying, eating in restaurants, drinking more expensive things, copulating on the weekends, haram ways and halal ways. But that's the ham. The idea of the ham, the focus of the person is that she or he works for that. And then we wait for vacation at the end of the year. Vacation, 1 month, 2 months vacation, to go where? And to do what? Eating, drinking, playing, copulating. More of that, or more sophisticated ways of that. Where is ma'rifatullah? Where is the knowledge of the divine? Where is knowledge of the ilm about my relationship to the divine, about akhirah, about Rasulullah, about shara, about morality, about spirituality, about the great men and women of history of spirituality, of ilm, of deen, about nourishing my soul and my mind and my heart with the ilm and with dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, and with developing a special, beautiful relationship spiritually with the divine, with one another. Societies, he said, will become, i.e., consumerists. Buying and selling to the extent that nowadays the level of advancement of a society is gauged with what? Spending. Young men know. Spending. Economic prosperity, we call it. How much you spend, how much you buy, how much you save. Vacations, kada, ila ridalik. And we keep consuming a new product, so new, more than ever before in the history of man. We consume more than ever in the history of man at all levels of halal and haram. He says there will come a time when the mindset, when the emotional focus will be consumption. Batn and farj. And then he says, وَدِينُهُ هَوَاهُ. And then there will be, when it comes to religion, it's about hawa. We already talked about hawa. What I like will be my religion. What my nafs likes, when my nafs is satisfied, I shop for religions. I shop for different religions, or I shop in my religion for the interpretation of whoever it is to satisfy my internal drives, intellectually or passionately. شهوانيا أو فكريا. You see, دينه هواه. And my deen becomes dictated, the religion I choose, and the modality of the religion I choose is dictated by my hawa. من غير هدى من الله. من غير هدى من شرع الله. He says it will happen. And we all live in it. We all live in it now. We have even in the name of Islam, people who in this world, in the West and in the East, who teach certain things and speak of certain things that even shaitan didn't do. That even shaitan didn't do. That this is halal and this is normal in Islam, to satisfy the drives that are personal or the drives of those and others. Because Rasulullah spoke of the times to come when speakers and orators giving sermons in the name of Islam, and there are imams that lead to Jahannam. Allah says about imams like that, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ. About the people of Fir'aun and the legacy of Fir'aun, that also exists in this ummah. There are imams, the word, call it imam. Imam means simply in Arabic a leader, one who is in front. Not only the one who leads salah or in masjid. Imam, a leader. And we made of them imams, leaders that lead to Jahannam. And Rasulullah speaks of that a lot. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us and guard us and protect us. Amen. هذا هو. And then finally, Iqamah is at what time? 45. All right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I close with this inshallah ta'ala, to remind myself first and then you in this very challenging world. Oh, by the way, in this very challenging world, maybe one of the other elements to add to the conclusion is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in many ahadith spoke to us of mankind expecting, and Muslims will be expecting in the future things that you would never imagine would happen. He says they will happen. Anything that happens in the world that is excessive, that is sometimes very difficult for us to explain for some of us, rest assured that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam already spoke about it. In general terms and sometimes in specific terms. Listen to this text. There are a few texts, but I'm going to mention only one. He speaks sallallahu alaihi wasallam of the many hours, many signs of the coming of the hour, before the hour. And of what happened, he said many things, and he said, And that sa'a will not happen حتى تروا أمورا يتفاقم شأنها في نفوسكم. Allahu Akbar. That will not take place, that the hour does not come until many things happen, of which many great, unbelievable events which will be to you inside of you. يتفاقم شأنها في نفوسكم. It is paralyzing in terms of what is happening to the mind to receive that and to know of that. It's incredible. In other words, it will even lead to fitan. Some people will probably lose their minds. Some people who don't have strong iman, maybe they will lose their iman of what they see happening. يتفاقم شأنها في نفوسكم. Inside of you, you will conceive of those as unbearable. وتساءلون بينكم. And to the extent that you will inquire with one another, ask one another, هل كان نبيكم ذكر لكم منها ذكرى? And I know some of us already have done that. To the extent that events will take place in this world, of all types of events, that in that time some of you will ask themselves, did Rasulullah mention anything about that? Did anybody ask this question? Every time, well, this started a long time ago. This question is asked, people have already said yes. See, you're asking that question, Rasulullah prophesied it. He was told that your ummah in the future will ask that question about what is happening. To the extent we say, did Rasulullah say this will happen at all? Things that were just in the realm of the impossible at all levels of the expression of human life. وحتى تزول جبال عن مراتبها. And until even mountains will be removed from their places. There will come a time before the hour when mountains will be removed. In those days, you can't remove mountains with shovels and spears and remove mountains. Nowadays, mountains are removed everywhere in the world. Completely gone, mountains, even in Mecca and in Medina. Mountains, Mountain of Umar is gone. For example. And mountains that are removed by mining and by roads and by kada. SubhanAllah. I just want to leave you with this, to leave us with this. No matter what happens in this world, at all levels in this world, economically, politically, militarily, socially, culturally, intellectually, technologically, industrially, at all levels, commercially, of incredible things that Rasulullah said they will happen. In general, like this hadith I mentioned, and sometimes in specific cases. هذه واحدة. And أخيرا, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as I was going to mention, and I'll leave you with this, حفظكم الله. يا أيها الناس إن وعد الله حق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور. O mankind, God Himself speaking to us. Look, this is real. God is speaking to us, saying, you mankind, Ya ayyuhan nas. Verily the promise of Allah is true. Jannah is true. Nar is true. Akhirah is true. Hisab is true. Mizan is true. This is not what others tell you it is not. Allah is saying, Ya ayyuhan nas, because He knows we're thinking, we're analyzing, we're listening to acts, we're reading, we're kind of, and some of us develop hawa opinions. Ya ayyuhan nas, inna wa'dallahi haqq. The promise of Allah is true. You will die. You will be resurrected. You will be held to account. And then simply either Jannah or Nar. Inna wa'dallahi haqq. Therefore, فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. Therefore, don't let life of this world delude you. That is the attractions we have for this world, i.e. wealth and power in general. Wealth and power and all what comes with that. Don't let the pursuit of that, materialism, in another word, don't let that delude you, give you a false impression of who you are and where you're going. Don't let that happen to you. Inna wa'dallahi haqq. No matter what you do, no matter how you live, how long, don't forget you will die and you will be resurrected, and it is either Jannah or Nar. Inna wa'dallahi haqq, fala taghurrannakumul hayatud dunya. And we have so much in this world, institutionalized dunya pursuit. Even ilm knowledge is not anymore for the sake of knowledge or the beauty of knowledge. We pursue knowledge to do what? To make money. Educational institutions now are not for knowledge, are for producing makers of money. No matter what field you specialize in, you're meant to produce money and to consume and to help consume. فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا. Second, ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور. And don't let al-gharur delude you in your relationship with Allah Azza wa Jalla, because some of us might say, God is kind, God is all loving, God is all forgiving, and we indulge in dunya ferociously in the name of God is kind. وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ. And who does that to us? Who makes us think that way and feel that way sometimes? Through agencies, of course. Shaitan. And shaitan is called al-gharur, the hyperbole form of al-ghar. Al-gharur, very, very, very deluding. And a person is maghrur when a person evaluates himself or herself more than what they really are. So Shaitan evaluated himself in his relationship with Allah more than he is. And he has the function to delude mankind, to generate in mankind ghurur, delusion, to generate inside of each one of us a sense of evaluating myself in my relationship with the world and with Allah more than what I am. So he says, don't let shaitan do that to you. No matter what the agencies are or the agents are that lead me to think that way and to become that way, my dear brothers and sisters. وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا إِنَّمَا يَدْعُو حِزْبَهُ لِيَكُونُوا مِنْ أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. And finally, of course, as we know, Shaitan on the Day of Judgment will absolve himself from us, from those who followed him, through agencies or directly by inspiration. Because on the Day of Judgment, he will absolve himself from anyone who followed his views, his opinions, as expressed by human agencies, because Shaitan doesn't come to us as a two-horned creature with, what do you call that thing? Tripod? Trident. Yeah, trident, and with the tail. Did anybody see Shaitan like that? No. Shaitan operates through us. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Through what I think, what you think, through what we say, what we do. And he inspires and he suggests. And then I or you follow Shaitan, i.e., we followed an idea of Shaitan that was expressed by this author, for example, or this poet, or this philosopher, or this actor, or this person, or that teacher, or that scholar, إلى غير ذلك. And on the Day of Judgment, he will say, وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ إِلَّا أَنْ دَعَوْتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي فَلَا تَلُومُونِي وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ مَا أَنَا بِمُصْرِخِكُمْ وَمَا أَنْتُمْ بِمُصْرِخِي. On the Day of Judgment, he says, no, don't blame me, blame yourselves. I only suggested to you, I only invited you, and you followed me. I did not make you do it. Don't blame me, blame yourselves. You will not help me, and I'm not going to be able to help you. وعد الله was حق, was true. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون الحق فيتبعون الحق. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Ya Allah, please protect us and help us be of those who listen to the words of admonition and follow the best of them. And help us be of those who are exposed to knowledge, to information, to data. That, Ya Allah, you help us by your grace screen that with the screen of Tawheed, with the screen of the Shara', with the screen of Iman, with the screen of Ihsan, with the screen of the Sunnah of your Nabi, in the way you love us, to understand your Sunnah. And don't entrust us ever to ourselves. إنك لطيف لما تشاء إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم أحببنا وحاببنا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا. Please, Ya Allah, give us your hubb love and grant us mutual hubb love for one another. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وأصحابه الميامين والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Please ensure that our lines are straight, stand shoulder to shoulder. The edge of our heel should be on the edge of the line. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تكونوا كالذين آذوا موسى فبرأه الله مما قالوا وكان عند الله وجيها. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد أيحسب أن لن يقدر عليه أحد يقول أهلكت مالا لبدا أيحسب أن لم يره أحد ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين وهديناه النجدين فلاقتحم العقبة وما أدراك ما العقبة فك رقبة أو إطعام في يوم ذي مسغبة يتيما ذا مقربة أو مسكينا ذا متربة ثم كان من الذين آمنوا وتواصوا بالصبر وتواصوا بالمرحمة أولئك أصحاب الميمنة والذين كفروا بآياتنا هم أصحاب المشأمة عليهم نار مؤصدة. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. أستغفر الله. أستغفر الله. اللهم أنت السلام منك السلام تباركت ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك اللهم لا مانع لما أعطيت ولا معطي لما منعت. شوف Hassan. Is it continuing? Done. My fellow brothers and sisters in Islam, we want to first and foremost thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity that Shaykh Mokhtar was here with us this evening, and alhamdulillah, he parted words of wisdom to the community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to continue seeking knowledge, inculcating that knowledge, propagating that knowledge, and living by that knowledge. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, Shaykh Mokhtar will be also teaching a sisters class tomorrow. We humbly request the sisters also to participate, inshallah, in that class. I don't want to say anything tonight. I think Shaykh Mokhtar has covered a lot of things, but it's on a lot of people's mind, the situation that is unfolding in Gaza, in Palestine. This is not the first time, and it may not be the last time. But brothers and sisters, what's alarming, what is concerning, is what happened last Thursday has become a continuous practice. That civilians outside the Muslim community are now stepping foot on the land of Aqsa. And this has not happened since the exile had occurred. Now, it might get technical here, but I just want to say one thing. As our iman falls, as our a'mal deteriorate, as Islam continues to leave our life, that's a gauge of it. So what do we do in these scenarios? It's easy to say that governments don't support us, and everyone always supports the opposite side, and the Muslim countries do nothing. It's not about the system, it's about our deeds. What defines Muslims isn't the numbers, it's the deeds that those people perform. And if there's one thing about seeking knowledge and coming to masjids and attending institutes, it's to inculcate and live by those deeds. So we need to do three things. Number one is we have to make excessive istighfar. That, oh Allah, forgive us that in the sacred site of Quds, today this is happening. May Allah forgive us all. Ameen. Number two, our brothers and sisters in that area require our du'as. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them. May Allah forgive those who have been killed innocently and grant them the death of shahada. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give patience to their family members. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on all of them. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. And this is a dua we're not just going to make after Isha prayer. It's a dua that we're going to make inshallah in Fajr, in Qunut. It's also a dua that you're going to make in Tahajjud inshallah. Continue to pray for them because that's the least we can do. And the third thing, inshallah, recite some Quran, recite Surah Yasin, and make that power of the Quran. May ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless it to them, inshallah, and to alleviate their pains and suffering. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower His mercy on this ummah. May Allah restore peace and civility and harmony on this earth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stop all this bloodshed and all these things. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow the Muslims to exemplify the life of Islam, the life of peace and harmony, a model of our Nabi Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us all to be embodiments of that example. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairan.